Today, we're really plunging into a topic that touches so many of us, often without us quite realizing it: emotional burnout. Our mission here really is to unpack what this actually means, why it seems to be everywhere, and most importantly, how we can start to find our way back to, balance. We've been looking at some really insightful material lately, specifically from Conquering Emotional Burnout, a guide to self-preservation. This guide, it talks about emotional burnout as something more common than we realize. It's that feeling, being totally drained, kind of detached, and just not finding joy in things you used to love.
Yeah, what's really striking is how clearly the guide defines it. It's not just like being tired. It's this really profound disconnect from what normally brings you fulfillment. It's a deeper thing.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that a bit more then. What actually causes someone to get to that point? The source says people often burn out because they're just constantly giving, at work, at home, in relationships. And they're not taking enough time to actually recharge themselves. It uses this analogy that feels, well, very real, running on an empty battery. You know that feeling, right?
Oh, definitely. And if you look at the bigger picture here, it really highlights a fundamental imbalance, doesn't it? There's a constant pressure for output without enough input for ourselves.
Yeah.
That seems to be the absolute core of the issue.
And the guide, well, it doesn't really pull any punches about what happens if you ignore that. It says over time, this burnout state can lead straight to irritability, mental fog, even physical illness. Sounds pretty serious.
It is serious, and it makes you wonder, how do these consequences affect not just us personally, but our interactions, our ability to just function? I mean, that mental fog alone, or the irritability that can be incredibly disruptive to everyday life, relationships, work, everything.
So if you find yourself feeling like that empty battery, what's the way back? How do you recover? The source material points to something really critical: self-awareness. It suggests we absolutely need to identify what's draining our energy. And then this is the tough part. Sometimes learn to set healthy boundaries. It actually says quite clearly, saying no is not selfish. It's an act of self-preservation. That hits hard, doesn't it?
It really does. And what's fascinating there is how it reframes no. It stops being about rejection or letting someone down and becomes about protecting something vital, your own emotional energy. That feels like such a foundational step, regaining some control,
Yeah, exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting, I think, because the source offers actual tangible things you can do, even small things. It says even small steps like taking a day to rest, practicing mindfulness, or going for a quiet walk can help restore balance. So it's not necessarily about huge life changes immediately.
Right, and that really emphasizes that recovery isn't always some grand gesture. It's not about a month-long retreat necessarily. It's more about these consistent, intentional little acts of self-care. Things that gradually, bit by bit, replenish that emotional reserve.
Like slowly refilling the tank.
Precisely. Slowly refilling it.
The guide wraps up its main message with this metaphor that honestly really sticks with you. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Simple, but powerful.
So true.
And then it follows right up by saying, taking care of your emotional well-being isn't optional. It's essential if you want to live a healthy and meaningful life.
Yeah, and connecting that to the bigger picture again. It's essentially saying our ability to engage with life, to be present, to find any joy. It's all directly tied to how well we look after our inner resources. It's not a luxury item. It's a prerequisite for living well.
So what's the takeaway here for you listening? This deep dive into conquering emotional burnout really hammers home this idea that noticing what drains you and then proactively, intentionally refilling your own cup, well, it isn't just a nice idea. It's absolutely fundamental if you want to live a full life. So maybe, just maybe, the next time you feel that familiar drain setting in, you could pause and ask yourself, okay, what's one small, intentional step I can take right now? Just one thing to practice that self-preservation and start refilling my cup.